Starting his new life as the city lord of Martial Flame City, Li Yun Xiao heads to the Thousand Treasures auction. He causes all sorts of chaos, blatantly breaking the laws of the land. Without a single care in the world, Yun Xiao makes an enemy out of the Dustflame Empire's great families. His past life's wisdom bails him out though, gaining him new, powerful allies, acquiring the items he needed from the auction. Yun Xiao pulls up to the Zhou family to steal the ones that he couldn't. Enveloped in a glow worthy of a martial king, Pang Cheng-Wan shouts out at Li Yun Xiao for daring to act against them, talking down on him for being a mere city lord. Zhou Xuan walks up, politely inquiring about the intentions behind the boy's actions. Having become a city lord only a few days ago, Yun Xiao is running short on his budget, so he wants to borrow their Green Wolf battleship and the 5-line tripod, vowing to return them when Martial Flame City starts thriving. Hearing this, Cheng-Wan bursts out laughing. He looks down on Yun Xiao for being just a martial master, questioning if he knows who he's talking to. Not being aware of their names, the reincarnated soul isn't interested in finding out either, and simply wants to leave with the 5-line tripod. Wreck everyone and leave, Pro thinks. He's the tribal chief. This time, the other martial king, Shiruoi Da, rages, charging up a ball of qi in his left hand. He prepares to show Yun Xiao the consequences of his action. Ruoi Da hurls the blast of energy at the Martial Flame City's cocky lord, hoping to eradicate him off the face of the planet. However, Yun Xiao somehow dispels the Martial King's qi with just a flick of his hand. Left in utter disbelief, Ruoi Da wonders how a 5-star martial master could dissipate his pressure so easily, considering it's something that not even a martial lord can withstand. He feels especially confused, since Yun Xiao's hit wasn't just a fluke and contained profound martial intent. Right then, Chuan tries to use the Zhou family's name to intimidate the reincarnated soul, and reminds him of his earlier transgressions at the Thousand Treasures auction. The former questions if the latter really intends to go up against 2 noble families at once, believing that he hasn't thought things through. In response, Yun Xiao simply smirks, having faced beings with a legacy dating back tens of thousands of years. The noble families with a mere 1,000 years of history mean nothing to him. Take your meds, old man. Hearing this, the Zhou family's forces conclude that Yun Xiao is an insane brat who can't be reasoned with. Cheng-Wan leaps at the boy, swirling around midair to strengthen his attack, as he hurls his thunderous fist toward Yun Xiao. A mighty hand stops it right in its tracks. This hand belongs to none other than the 8-star martial king, Xiao Qingwang. He scolds Cheng-Wan for acting rashly, and counters with a monstrous punch, smashing his face in. Seeing their ally get flung away in such a fashion, Chuan and Ruoi Da question why the 8-star martial king who protects Tian Shui is siding with a small-time city lord. Once again, Chuan can do nothing but boast about the Zhou family's status, warning Qingwang that his actions will bring ruin to the very country he vowed to protect. Of course, the fearless commander doesn't care about his empty threats. Holy Geochad. Realizing that all of them are crazed maniacs, Chuan sends Ruoi Da to finish off the 8-star martial king, only for him to get caged inside a formation activated by Luo Yunshang and Chen Da Sheng. Unbothered by a trap set by just 2 martial lords, the 7-star martial king unleashes a barrage of punches at the formation. However, the cage doesn't budge one bit. Just as Yunshang and Da Sheng feel relieved that the simple 4 quadrants formation really managed to capture a powerful martial king, Ruoi Da starts putting his all into trying to shatter it, causing sparks to fly within the enclosure. Meanwhile, Qingwang rushes off to intercept Cheng-Wan. Chuan starts grinning all of a sudden. Having figured out Yun Xiao's great plan, he questions who is going to be facing him. Trusting that Qingwang will kill one of the martial kings soon enough, the reincarnated soul feels that there's no need to rush about that. Thus, Chuan confirms Yun Xiao to be the leader. Pulling out a crooked blade from his throat, he vows to kill him and save his allies. Despite the 1-star great martial master rushing at him with the intent to kill, Yun Xiao stands unfazed. In fact, this works out better for him, since he is the one carrying the 5-line tripod. With a confident smirk, the reincarnated soul asks Chuan why he is in such a hurry to die. Chuan unleashes a slash, prompting Yun Xiao to leap back. However, it's actually a fake technique to buy time while Chuan carefully observes his surroundings. Yun Xiao tells the great martial master to be at ease, assuring him that it's just one-on-one between them now. With this, Chu On feels confident in his victory and rushes to finish off his foe. He unseals his Shu On weapon, transforming it into a ferocious python. Even standing in front of such a threat, Yun Xiao remains unfazed. Understanding that the seemingly flawless attack is riddled with gaps, the reincarnated soul steps out of the way, leaving behind an after-image for the snake to bite. Lil Bro got jebaited. Using his moonwalk nether swap, Yun Xiao quickly closes the distance between himself and the cocky foe. He lands right on Chuan's face, smacking him away with a ruthless kick. Taken aback by the boy's speed, the great martial master goes all out, unleashing a second unseal. Chuan transforms his crooked blade into an even mightier python than before, ordering it to devour his enemy. Understanding that his Shu-On weapon that has 2 unseal stages is at least a 4th tier one, Yu Xiao is surprised to see that a mere great martial master has such a weapon and concludes that the current martial flame city can't take on the Zhou family's forces. At the same time, he takes a stern stance. Brimming with energy, the reincarnated soul unleashes the floating life seal, containing the power of the heavens and earth. A gigantic palm strikes down on Shu-On's unsealed Shu-On weapon, blasting the snake's head to smithereens. Moments later, the python's lifeless body turns back into its blade form, deprived of all its glory. Holding his Shu-On weapon, Chu-On wonders what immensely powerful technique Yun Xiao used to ruin it in such a way. Walking towards the great martial master, the reincarnated soul declares that things will end soon if he is only at that level. Yun Xiao's Yuan Qi fluctuations as a mere 5-star martial master leave Chu-On questioning reality, forcing him to transform into a serpent. As the boy understands that this is a demonic technique, the great martial master realizes that he isn't a small-time city lord at all, and rushes to kill him. Only now if he does, not dude is slow. However, Yun Xiao keeps looking at him condescendingly, openly expressing his hatred for such an unsightly technique. Vowing to kill the reincarnated soul for forcing him to show his true self, Chu-On rages. Countless snakes erupt from his right hand, culminating in the 1,000 snakes heart-pierce technique. Announcing that transforming into a demon will close the gap between them, Yun Xiao assumes a battle stance, bringing out his own Shu-On weapon to counterattack. He unleashes Tiger Fang Sword, Lotus Sword Song, slicing apart the very essence of Chu-On's technique. Yun Xiao continues to charge forward, cutting apart any and all snakes that block his way. Getting pushed back by the boy's relentless assault, the great martial master realizes that he will have to resort to the demonification pill, since losing the 5-line tripod will result in a fate worse than death. As Chu-On consumes the pill, his body erupts in smoke, transforming his entire being into a huge snake. Since when was Orochimaru a character in this story? Since every phase of the great martial master's offense has been snake-based, Yun Xiao wonders just how disgusting he can be. Meanwhile, Chu-On screams out, demanding that the boy surrender his life. Barely holding off the massive serpent with his Tiger Fang sword, Yun Xiao realizes that the situation has become more troublesome than he deemed possible. Right then, another snake swoops around there, flanking the reincarnated soul. Left with no other choice, Yun Xiao leaps into the air, feeling offended that 2 mere snakes are fighting over the right to kill him. The boy unleashes his Moon's Eye, soul suppressor technique, freezing the serpents in their tracks. Fortunately, even this small window of opportunity is enough for Yun Xiao. He strikes with his Tiger Fang sword, Lotus Sword Song, stabbing Chu-On in the chest. Unfreezing after a moment, the snake screams out. Its disgusting purple blood spills out from the wound in its chest, revealing the 5-line tripod. As the 5-line tripod comes crashing on the ground, Yun Xiao realizes why its presence was so faint all this time. Just when he feels a bit relieved, Chu-On appears to swipe the item away, swallowing it whole, to store it right back in his serpentine body. Standing before the hissing snake, Yun Xiao feels annoyed, understanding that he will only be able to get the 5-line tripod. By destroying Chu-On completely, the boy looks over to Xiao Qingwang's battle. Unfortunately, it still hasn't ended yet, leaving him on his own for now. To make things worse, taking the 5-line tripod out of Chu-On's body only reminds him that it's a 5th-tier Shu-On weapon. Provoking Yun Xiao, the snake coughs up the item, hurling it at a massive speed toward him. Not having enough time to dodge, the reincarnated soul is forced to block the 5-line tripod with his body. While Yun Xiao gets sent flying, Chuan swallows the 5th-tier Shuan weapon right back. Despite being just a martial master, Yun Xiao still lives, shocking the disgusting snake. Curious to see just how much more the boy can survive, Chuan keeps the 5-line tripod in its throat as insurance. This one freaky-ass snake. Suddenly, Yun Xiao sits back up, holding his blade to the ground, as if he were surrendering, declaring that it's too late to beg for forgiveness now. Chuan vows to make the reincarnated soul struggle even in death. Suddenly, he freezes right in his tracks. The golden glow erupts from within the snake's body as the 5-line tripod begins poking outwards from within it as if to burst out. Holding his meditating stance, Yun Xiao reveals that he took the earlier hit on purpose, making Chuan realize that he placed a tampering seal on it back then. Since engraving a seal on the 5-line tripod at the very moment of impact, while defending oneself, is a feat that requires a complete understanding of the Shuan weapon, the snake is left wondering how Yun Xiao could manage such a thing. Plot armor, that's how. Right then, the reincarnated soul flicks his hand, slamming Chuan into the ground. He then calls out for the 5-line tripod to absorb, causing the snake's entire being to get pulled inside it. The 5th-tier Shuan weapon begins to shake wildly as Chuan's faint cries for help ring out from within. Right as Da Sheng and Yun Shang wonder if they manage to succeed, Shi Ruoi Da realizes that things are getting worse by the second. Needing to bring back the 5-line tripod, no matter what, the martial king puts all his chi into his fists. With this, he shatters the formation, albeit getting left with bloodied hands in the process. Rushing past the insignificant martial lords, Ruoi Da leaps at Yun Xiao to finish him off once and for all. To dampen the impact of the martial king's strike, the boy uses the 5-line tripod and activates his body like glass as well. However, Ruoi Da's onslaught proves to be too strong for him. Not only does the attack free Chuan, but it also collapses the first stage of the tyrant body tampering technique as if it were nothing, putting blood on fraud watch. Thinking that Chuan is trying to escape, Ruoi Da screams at him to get back. Much to his dismay, the great martial master is busy getting kicked around by Xiao Qingwang, who has won his battle against Pang Changwan. The 8-star martial king signals Yun Xiao, who seals the giant snake right back in the 5-line tripod. With this, only Ruoi Da remains standing, huffing and puffing. Da Sheng and Yun Shang join Yun Xiao. To their surprise, he starts masterfully refining and utilizing the 5-line tripod, right after obtaining it, a feat that even a martial lord wouldn't be able to accomplish. They wonder how it is even possible, not knowing that Yun Xiao is able to do so freely, only because he was the one who refined the 5-line tripod in his past life. Refine. The reincarnated soul shouts out, melting Chuan with his soul power. The battle between Qingwang and Ruoi Da rages on, as both of them get more exhausted with each passing second. Since the 8-star martial king has fought 2 7-star ones in a row, Yu Shang wonders if they should help him. However, Da Sheng insists that they can't do anything but watch. After all, they will only be a hindrance to Qingwang at his level. Right then, Yun Xiao screams out universal creation 5 into 1. Green, blue, red, yellow, and Chuan's purple. 5 different energies swirl around, condensing within the 5-line tripod. Upon Yun Xiao's command, as they settle down, Da Sheng asks how things are going. The reincarnated soul declares his success and pulls out a purple pill from the 5-line tripod, leaving the 2 martial lords wondering what became of Zhou Chuan. Who's gonna tell him? Pointing to the pill, Yun Xiao remarks that he's there, making Da Sheng and Yun Shang shout out in disbelief as they question if he went and turned a human into a pill. Yun Xiao insists that he did no such thing and only made a demon into one. Since Chuan utilized demonic techniques and then took a demonification pill on top of it, his very essence is no different from a demon. So Yun Xiao simply refined him into a pill. Sounds like perfect logic to me. While Yu Shang and Da Sheng look on in disgust, the boy declares that it's no big deal, considering that refining a demon into a pill is a very common practice. Yun Xiao intends to feed this pure purple snake pill to Xiao Qingwang after he finishes off Shi Ruoi Da After all, it will not only heal his injuries, it might also help him break into the 9th star realm. Da Sheng warns Yun Xiao that Qinghuang will kill him if he gets a whiff of how the pill was made, but the boy thinks that everything will be fine as long as he doesn't open his trap. At that precise moment, something comes crashing down in front of them, throwing up a huge cloud of smoke. When the dust settles, Ruoi Da's lifeless body lies on the ground. Walking away from it, Qinghuang declares himself lucky to live up to the mission. Thanking the commander for his services, Yun Xiao hands him the purple snake pill. The reincarnated soul informs Qinghuang of its effects, leaving him in shock. For over 5 years, Tian Shui's protector has been stuck as a peak 8-star martial king, having accepted it as his limit. So, he doesn't believe the boy's word. However, Yun Xiao tells him to just try the purple snake pill. As Qinghuang gulps it down, Yun Shang and Da Sheng try to stop him, but to no avail. In fact, the foxy Yun Xiao ends up gaslighting the 8-star martial king into thinking that they are jealous that he got to eat the pill instead of them. While the lady endlessly throws up, Yun Xiao instructs Qinghuang to rest up, since the pill will take effect soon. He then turns over to the martial lords, instructing them to clean up the battlefield. After all, the Zhou family will easily identify them as the culprits otherwise. Da Sheng marvels at Yun Xiao's guts, still unable to believe that they have been dragged into a do-or-die battle with 2 of the 4 great noble families. Still as nonchalant as ever, the reincarnated soul announces that their enemies angered them and not the other way around. Not thinking there to be any difference between the two, Da Sheng gets to cleaning up the battlefield. Of course there is, exclaims Yun Xiao suddenly, announcing that the people they offend have a chance of living. However, those who offend them might as well consider themselves to be dead, spitting bars like Eminem. Hearing this, Yu Shang realizes that Yun Xiao's boat of insanity will continue to flow down a troublesome stream. Of course, she refuses to retreat, no matter how difficult things get, at least as long as Gu Feiyang still lives. Sometime later, Da Sheng tells Yun Xiao and Yun Shang that the battlefield has been cleaned up without so much as a scratch left on it. Right then, something catches the group's attention. Brimming forth with immense pressure, Xiao Qinghuang has broken through to become a 9-star martial king. Moreover, the injuries he has suffered up till this point have also all miraculously healed. Da Sheng and Yun Shang congratulate Qinghuang for breaking through, prompting him to burst out laughing. The martial king becomes convinced that as long as he stays with his young master Yun, life will continue to bless him. Qinghuang suddenly starts looking around, wondering if Chu An ended up dying after getting stuck in the 5-line tripod. The 2 martial lords start acting suspiciously, enraging him. Losing his patience, Qinghuang reprimands them for their behavior and questions what's going on. Yun Xiao chimes in, remarking that it's nothing much. Just that, as anything can be medicine, to martial artists, he refined Zhou Chuan into a pill, using the 5-line tripod. At first, Yun Xiao's words don't register for Qinghuang, and he goes about his day, all the while Da Sheng and Yun Shang run away. Moments later, the realization hits him. Understanding that the pill he just ate was none other than Chu An himself, Qinghuang rages at Yun Xiao for making him eat something so disgusting. The poor boy's screams echo throughout the area as the martial king gives him a good smacking. Later at the martial Flame City Lord's residence, the mythic cloud-shaking thunder beast, Li Changfeng, Li Chunyang, Manwu, and Monbai look on in disbelief, wondering what happened to Yun Xiao. With a battered and bruised face, the reincarnated soul assures them that he just tripped and is fine. Of course, being the guy that he is, Yun Xiao doesn't snitch on Qinghuang. While Changfeng dotes on his son, Chunyang asks the now 9-star martial king what happened to his grandson's face. In response, Qinghuang simply tells him to educate Yun Xiao instead. Chunyang then asks Da Sheng to explain what happened instead, prompting the martial lord to spill the beams. Hearing the tale, Yun Xiao's father and grandpa can't help but snicker at his shenanigans. After getting a stern talking to, the reincarnated soul asks the 2 about their missions. Things turned out even better than expected, as Changfeng managed to collect 200 million gold coins and 6 million middle-tier primordial stones in total, an amount equivalent to 60,000 high-tier primordial stones. Bro is richy rich. Even Xin Yue was willing to cooperate with Changfeng. helping him settle some business that he couldn't do himself. On the other hand, Chunyang hurriedly passed on Yun Xiao's message to Zhang Qingfan and Shu Han as well, who will arrive at Martial Flame City the next day. With this, everything is well within the reincarnated soul's expectations. Of course, since they have made too many enemies in a short time, they quickly need to get enough power, or else Martial Flame City will be destroyed. Ordering Meng Wu to take the primordial stones to Jiao Rong and tell him to finish the arrays ASAP, Yun Xiao heads off to go into seclusion. Too many enemies, he said, as if he wasn't the one angering everyone in the first place, leaving even his allies worried at his lack of responsibility. Yun Xiao fawns over his 5-line tripod, lamenting that he just gave it away in his previous life. If the reincarnated soul had known that the item would return to him in this life, he would have engraved a few more powerful arrays on it too. Despite this, the 5-line tripod remains one of the most well-rounded artifacts Yun Xiao refined as Gu Fei Yang. By utilizing its full power, his battle power would reach the level of a peak martial king. However, his current cultivation level renders him unable to do so. Regardless, the boy draws out as much of the tripod's power as he possibly can at the moment. The next day, outside the Martial Flame City Lord's residence, countless people gather for the recruitment, complaining about not seeing anyone. Right as the horde starts wondering if they have been lied to, Chang Feng appears and tells them to shut up. Riding the mythic cloud-shaking Thunder Beast, he announces that his son is still sleeping and will come out soon. This enrages the crowd even more, who question what kind of a city lord sleeps in this late. Let my king take a nap. At that precise moment, Yun Xiao arrives, declaring that the Martial Flame City only cares about strength. So, whoever wishes to join it will have to abide by their rules, with the top priority being to carry out the orders given to them. Sitting down while getting massaged by Wu Zishi, Yun Xiao puts Meng Wu and Meng Bai in charge of managing the recruitment process. He then commands the candidates to line up properly, promising to disqualify anyone who cuts the queue or breaks the rules. A 3-star martial master named Li Yun Xiao registers first, getting a hefty reward just for doing so. The young man excitedly questions what he should do now, getting told that he can do whatever he wants as long as he fulfills the condition of not leaving Martial Flame City without Yun Xiao's permission for the next month. Of course, breaking this rule will result in his death. So, Li Yun Xiao just needs to find a temporary residence until the reincarnated soul can open the exclusive training grounds for cultivation. Witnessing this sight, everyone is left questioning the recruitment method, wondering how the city lord will know if a few people out of the countless there just took their rewards and ran away. Hearing the chatter, Yun Xiao simply smiles. After all, his universal detect covers the entire Martial Flame City. As such, he doesn't mind killing anyone who dares to con him. At night, a letter from Yun Xiao arrives at the Tiandang Mountains Commerce Guild. Ding Ling reads it out loud, revealing that the boy wants to purchase some valuables from them in bulk. Yurong shakes his head in disapproval, trying to tell the girl that they won't even manage to break even if they continue to invest like this. However, she insists that this isn't a losing trade for them, as Yun Xiao is purchasing them for a good price. Moreover, not helping the boy right now would result in his death, which would make all their prior investments useless. Above all else though, Ding Ling has high hopes for Yun Xiao. This makes Yurong wonder if she is talking about the situation with the Zhou family. Although the identity of the culprits is still unknown, the girl's sharp intuition tells her that the whole thing is related to Yun Xiao. Lilith has got that spidey sense. Yurong doubts her statements, thinking that she is overestimating the boy's abilities. However, Ding Ling doesn't listen to the negative Nancy, and gives out the orders to fulfill Yun Xiao's demands. Sometime later, Meng Wu informs the reincarnated soul that they have recruited over 300 people on only the first day, including 2 martial lords. In the process, though, they have run out of rewards to give out. Yun Xiao tells her not to worry, revealing that the Thousand Treasures Tower and the Tiandang Mountains Commerce Guild will be sending Shuan weapons and pills their way soon enough. At that precise moment, the boy remarks that Yin Chaoyang has already arrived. Revealing himself, the martial grandmaster compliments Yun Xiao's detection capabilities, since not even Xiao Qingwan noticed his arrival. However, this surprise is nothing compared to the shock of seeing the 5-line tripod in the reincarnated soul's hands. Yun Xiao then asks Elder Yin what he finds so surprising. Of course, the boy intentionally showed him the 5-line tripod to make him take his side. While knowing his crimes against the Zhou family, being all too aware of this fact, Gao Yang wonders if Yun Xiao is trying to drag him down. Right then, the reincarnated soul questions why a huge superpower like the Thousand Treasures auction is scared of the Dust Flame Empire's Zhou family. Gao Yang insists that the organization itself isn't afraid of them, but that he, as an individual, can't compare to the Zhou family at all. So, if his actions leave the Thousand Treasures Tower's Dust Flame Empire branch in ruins, the consequences will be dire. Still unconcerned, Yun Xiao instructs Elder Yin to just go to Yuanbo if that ever happens and tell him that it was destroyed because of his old friend. Let alone blame, Gao Yang might even get a promotion for his service. Sighing out, Elder Yin moves on to the topic at hand and informs Yun Xiao of all the goods that he has brought. He even thinks that the boy might end up with one of the strongest forces in the Dust Flame Empire if the recruitment process continues like this. As Yun Xiao thanks him for his services, Yao Yang wonders how he isn't afraid of people running off with the goods. Remarking that he is actually afraid, the reincarnated soul invites Elder Yin out on a walk with him. At the same time, a group of recruits gathers outside Martial Flame City, getting led by Li Yun Xiao. Deeming the city lord to be an absolute idiot, they celebrate their heist. One of the cocky thieves even boasts about how he will change his appearance and identity to go back for seconds the next day. Famous last words. Suddenly, all their dreams of getting rich blow up into smoke as Yun Xiao appears behind them, declaring that they would have to be alive to spend their riches. Having more than 40 people with them, including a martial lord, Li Yun Xiao and his companions order Yun Xiao to get out of the way if he values his life. Of course, the reincarnated soul eloquently refuses to do so. Wanting to rough up the idiotic city lord, the thieves jump at him all at once. Confidently smirking at first, Yun Xiao instantly changes his entire demeanor and shouts out for Gao Yang to help him. With this, the realization hits Elder Yin that the boy only brought him along as a glorified bodyguard. Furious that he fell for Yun Xiao's tricks yet again, Yao Yang slams onto the battlefield, repelling the attackers. With just his aura alone, moments later, the thieves start recognizing him as the Thousand Treasures Tower's martial grandmaster. Since they think that he is associated with Martial Flame City, Elder Yin worries that the misunderstanding will turn the Cheng and Zhou families against him. Of course, it is too late for him to get himself out of Yun Xiao's sly plan now. Vowing to never fall for one of his tricks ever again, Gao Yang decides to take out his rage on the thieves instead, making sure that none of them live to tell the tale. The martial grandmaster unleashes his chi in a circular scythe-like form, cutting off the heads of all those who dared to run away in one fell swoop. Collecting the rewards he gave them, Yun Xiao thanks Elder Yin for his help. Gao Yang quickly ends their conversation and rushes back to the Thousand Treasures Tower, only to receive a mental transmission mid-air, promising to seek his help the next time Martial Flame City is in trouble. The poor man sighs out, realizing that he is never going to escape Yun Xiao's clutches. On the second day of the recruitment, the corpses of all the martial artists who tried to run off with the money hung outside the city lord's residence, leaving the onlookers wondering if Yun Xiao is just trying to raise a new force in Thousand Treasures Tower's name. Bros don't know that he's the puppet master. Right then, Zhang Qingfan, Shu Han, and the other refiners from Tian Shui arrive there. Since one of the candidate's cousin's husband's third aunt's neighbor's relative's second uncle is a refiner, he knows all the refiners in Tian Shui and informs the others of the two fourth-tier refiners. Hearing this, everyone present understands that Martial Flame City will become a mighty force in the future and rushes to join them. Meanwhile, Yun Xiao welcomes the refiners, thanking them for being there when Martial Flame City needed it most. However, Zhang Qingfan declares that they are just doing their duty as refiners of Tian Shui. After getting the pleasantries out of the way, Yun Xiao informs them that Martial Flame City is lacking in pills and Shuvan weapons. To that end, he has recreated the Alchemist Association's buildings, even constructing a pill tower for refining, as the Alchemist Association's tower has been set up by many generations of masters. Li Yun thinks that Yun Xiao couldn't possibly have recreated it completely. Doubting my king is crazy. He suggests that the boy tells them his request, so that they can refine it back at the capital, sending it over through someone later. However, Shu Han remarks that receiving wisdom from Yun Xiao is better than staying inside the association. Just when Li Yun Xiao heeds his words and quiets down, the reincarnated soul tells him not to worry, assuring the refiners that the pill tower he made in just 3 days won't be worse than the Alchemist Association. In fact, Yun Xiao worries that they won't want to go back anymore after experiencing it. This statement leaves Wan Yu, Qing Fan, and Shu Han, all three in doubt. The boy then proudly brings the refiners over to a small building, introducing it as Martial Flame City's Pill Tower. Seeing the sorry structure, all the refiners get down in the dumps, lamenting that they traveled thousands of miles just to refine pills in such a place. However, they have to eat their words soon enough. Upon entering Yun Xiao's Pill Tower, they are greeted by an endless white expanse. Realizing that Yun Xiao is using spatial isolation to create independent space, Qing Fan starts losing his mind. After all, a space so wide and spiritual could only have been made by the ancient powers of legends, having used his monument of the world god. To accomplish this feat, Yun Xiao confirms Qing Fan's theory. As such, not only will the soul qi there be much denser, but the refiners will also benefit greatly in the cultivation of their soul powers. Incredibly, Shu Han already feels rejuvenated. Gesturing something with his hands, Yun Xiao asks everyone to follow him. Suddenly, the entire white space starts changing its shape, transforming into numerous floating islands riddled with powerful arrays, one of which has a giant divine tree growing on it. Wait, divine tree? Did we accidentally start writing about the wrong series? Since Yun Xiao placed the monument of the world god in this pill tower, his will is the law of heaven and earth there, enabling him to control it as he pleases. Taking in the refining area that Yun Xiao prepared for them, Qing Fan suddenly spots the Great Origin Mystic Yang Array in the sky, something that can only be set up with tens of thousands of highest-grade primordial stones. Yun Xiao clarifies that it's just a simplified version of the Great Origin Mystic Yang Array. So instead of requiring primordial stones, it absorbs energy from the surroundings. In fact, the treasure that provides the energy for the arrays to operate is the giant tree in the center of the space. Consequently, Yun Xiao names it the Square-Inch Mountain. Witnessing such a complex architecture, Qing Fan concludes that this space goes beyond his understanding of Shuan artifacts. Suddenly, the reincarnated soul snaps his fingers, bringing forth the soul power-blessing ancient array device that he got from the auction. By setting up a soul absorption array outside it, he has made sure that it will not only use the Yuan Qi in the space to perpetually activate arrays, but also send any excess to the mountain range to increase the refiner's effectiveness. Hearing Yun Xiao's explanations, the fourth-tier refiners conclude that they are in the middle of a treasure mountain instead of a normal refinement ground. Yun Xiao continues, giving Tian Shui's refiners priority access to all his resources to help strengthen Martial Flame City. Handing over the recipes for the things that he needs, the reincarnated soul puts Qing Fan and Shu Han in charge of managing the space. Right then, something alerts Yun Xiao. Rushing off somewhere, he asks Qing Fan and Shu Han to follow him. Soon, the three refiners arrive at a cave. Running inside, Yun Xiao leads the way, bringing them to Jimeng's body, floating inside a water-like array. Although the 6 Sunset Gold Pill can save Jimeng, Yun Xiao has held off on using it since it will lower his cultivation. However, he has taken several measures to stabilize Jimeng's life energy, making sure that nothing will happen to him, even for 1,000 years. With these assurances, feeding Jimeng the 6 Sunset Gold Pill won't result in any deterioration of his cultivation levels. In fact, the mountain he is currently being held in is the center of the Yuan Qi, in a 500-kilometer radius of Martial Flame City. Preparing to inject the Yuan Qi into Jimeng's body, Yun Xiao asks Qing Fan and Shu Han to help him if he runs out of stamina. As the 2 fourth-tier refiners vow to help him in whatever way he needs, the reincarnated soul marches toward Jimeng and feeds him the 6 Sunset Gold Pill. Springs of Deepwood, endless lives come forth, shouts out Yun Xiao, enveloping the martial lord in a lotus flower. He then uses Yuan energy empowerment, causing Jimeng to finally wake up, albeit a bit inflated, quite literally. Before the latter can process what's going on, the former gives him step-by-step instructions to stabilize his energy. Since the life energy flowing within Jimeng is the vitality of all life, including the peach blossom sword intent and lotus sword song he practices. Yun Xiao wants him to understand their essences. While Jimeng closes his eyes and starts meditating, Qing Fan and Shu Han realize that they should join in and do the same. Sometime later, the martial lord wakes up, bringing forth with energy. The two fourth-tier refiners follow, having broken through. Shu Han becomes a 4-star martial master, while Qing Fan becomes a 7-star martial master. More importantly, though, Jimeng finally becomes a 5-star martial lord. Dudes turned on leveling hacks. Qing Fan and Shu Han congratulate him on his breakthrough, complimenting his indescribably fast cultivation speed. Jimeng returns their compliment, remarking that the same goes for them as well. The three smile at each other and then bow before Yun Xiao, expressing gratitude for everything he has done for him. Suddenly, something catches the boy's attention. Remarking that a lively one has shown up, Yun Xiao leaves Qing Fan and Shu Han to tend to the area and takes Jimeng with him. With a snap of his finger, the two appear outside the Martial Flame City Lord's residence. There, Xiao Qingwang, Yun Xiao, Chang Feng, and the Ming siblings are getting confronted by an intimidating man, oozing out immense pressure. However, the entity insists that he is only there to sign up and questions what they are so afraid of. While Qing Wang and the others get worried about the man's power, Yun Xiao walks up, openly welcoming him to his cause. After all, a 9-star martial king is exactly what Martial Flame City lacks. Hearing this, the other candidates get more hyped than ever. First, the 1,000 Treasures Tower, and now a 9-star martial king, seeing Martial Flame City receive the backing of such strong figures, convinces them to dedicate their lives to it. Sasageo, wait, wrong show. Right then, the powerful man speaks up, introducing himself as Many. He inquires about the payments and wishes to meet the city lord. Yun Xiao steps up, announcing himself as the city lord, and asks the man his price. Unable to believe that a 15-year-old boy is the city lord, Many looks around to see his supporters and realizes that it's the truth. He then puts forward his price, demanding a 4th-tier Shuan weapon, 10 5th-tier pills, and 100,000 high-tier primordial stones. Despite being taken back by the insane price, Yun Xiao's forces understand that it isn't much at all for an asset as powerful as a 9-star martial king. The reincarnated soul declares that he can pay his price, only finding the pills to be tricky. Yun Xiao questions if Many needs a certain pill, getting told that he wants all 10 of the 5th-tier pills to be lucid limitless yuan pills. Getting no reply, Many starts walking off, announcing that it's fine if Yun Xiao hasn't heard of the pill, as he just needs to tell the people backing him. In fact, if the boy manages to bring him 10 of those pills, Many promises to join Martial Flame immediately, without taking the Shuan weapon and primordial stones. Being aware that the lucent limitless Yuan pill is an extremely rare and special one, Yun Xiao concludes that Many is there to obtain the 1,000 Treasures Tower's power. Using his universal detect, he starts checking the martial king's background. Offended that a mere martial master wants to test him like this, Many attempts to block out the universal detect, with his mental defenses only for them to get shattered. While the 9-star martial king questions how a mere brat can be a 4th-tier refiner, Yun Xiao remarks that they don't have any lucent limitless yuan pills to give him. However, they do have something else. Uninterested, Many turns his back on him. Having come across an interesting technique somewhere else many years ago, Yun Xiao reminisces about the Moonbreak Scroll, causing the martial king to freeze in his tracks. Many completely changes his tone. Questioning Yun Xiao's identity, the martial king wonders how he knows about the Moonbreak Scroll and if he has read it before. Shrugging off his words, Yun Xiao asks him if the technique meets his requirements. Yes, of course, exclaims Many, only feeling concerned about getting scammed. However, Yun Xiao quenches his worry by activating private sound transmission. Unable to contain himself, the 9-star martial king demands that the boy hands over the Moonbreak Scroll right then. Of course, Yun Xiao tells him to register first, promising to hand it over after checking it. Without a moment of hesitation, Many rushes over to Meng Wu and Meng Bai, practically begging for a registration form. Witnessing a 9-star martial king act in such a manner, the horde of candidates are freed of all doubts and practically trample over one another to register. Later, Yun Xiao gets confronted by his allies about how he won over a 9-star martial king just by talking to him. Upon Chunyang's inquiry, the reincarnated soul reveals that he observed something strange about the money guy's body, where his parents did not do him a favor with his name. While the lucent Limitless Yuan pill is used to relieve his symptoms, the Moonbreak scroll can completely cure him. However, Yun Xiao explaining that he saw through the secrets of a 9-star martial king leaves his allies even more surprised. Chunyang then questions if they are going to expand Martial Flame City to accommodate the countless people who have registered for their cause. Yun Xiao reveals that they will definitely expand, but not now, as he will make temporary arrangements for everyone. More importantly, Martial Flame City needs high-end battle power first and foremost. Since Xiao Qingwang, Chunyang, and the mythic cloud-shaking Thunder Beast are the only martial kings there, Yun Xiao will spend most of his time on increasing their strengths. If Money Man Man, or rather Qian Duo proves to be reliable, he will help him and Qingwang break through to become a martial grandmaster quickly. The 8-star martial king deems it to be hopeless, thinking that he can only break through a major realm with at least 5 to 10 years of experience and luck. Of course, Yu Xiao assures him that it will take more like 5 to 10 days. Any speedrunners in chat? Turning over to his trustworthy allies, the reincarnated soul declares them as his core members and activates his universal detect, instructing them not to reject his consciousness. In an instant, Yun Xiao transports all of them into the independent space inside the monument of the world god. Witnessing this miracle of a heaven-defying Shuan artifact, Yu Shan gets flustered and once again starts fawning over Gu Fei Yang. Yun Xiao teases her, getting smacked in the head for it. Chunyang scolds his grandson for continuing to hide good things from him, albeit feeling a sense of familiarity in the space, being unaware that Yu Xiao stole it from the Li family's treasury. Regardless, the boy makes up a lie about it, and then informs everyone of the soul absorption arrays that will enable them to become at least twice as strong in a very short time. Asking the group to follow him, Yun Xiao takes them to the center of the soul absorption array for cultivation, since the soul energy is densest there. He also reveals that when Xiao Qingwang and Qian Duo break through to become martial grandmasters, the others will get enlightened to get stronger as well. Yan expresses gratitude for being allowed to cultivate in such a space, and Yun Xiao tells him to be prepared for the things that are about to come. The reincarnated soul then goes over to Tian Shui's refiners, announcing that it's time to refine the adversity-destroying pills. Being a legendary ultimate 4th tier pill, it is said to help all martial artists under the martial king level make a breakthrough. However, the adversity-destroying pills also have major side effects, rendering anyone under the martial lord level incapable of withstanding their backlash. Shu Han notes that this would mean that Yun Xiao can't take the pills, receiving a smirk in response. Proclaiming that his body is already as strong as a martial lord, the boy thinks that he should be able to take 1 or 2 pills without any problems, especially since he knows their properties and has the 5-line tripod. Dude is simply built different, as the adversity-destroying pills are at the ultimate 4th tier level. Shu Han and Zhang Qingfan ask Yun Xiao to let them refine alongside him, as it will help them understand the complete Tao of the 4th tier. Fulfilling their request, the reincarnated soul brings the duo along with him to the 5th tier purple tripod, leaving them in utter disbelief at his capabilities. Suddenly, Yun Xiao announces that he will teach Shu Han and Qingfan the method for joint refining of adversity-destroying pills. If coordinated well, it will multiply the efficiency of the refinement process. However, any mistake in their coordination will make the process bear worse results than refining alone. Many hours pass, and even though it takes longer than Yun Xiao thought, the 2 4th tier refiners manage to understand it. While the boy gets ready to start refining without further delay, Shu Han and Qingfan cry tears over their limited talent. Yun Xiao initiates the refinement process, bringing the 5-line tripod to the Great Origin Mystic Array, while all of Tian Shui's refiners closely look on. Yun Xiao asks Qingfan and Shu Han to help him control the tripod, as he is about to start adding the ingredients. The 2 4th tier refiners do as told and take over the 5-line tripod, leaving Yun Xiao free to handle the ingredients. Gathering his soul power to activate the array, The reincarnated soul tells Shu Han and Qing Fan to watch his technique closely. Heavenly Phantom Scripture Technique calls out Yun Xiao, bringing forth countless Buddha-like hands to help him refine the ultimate fourth-tier pills. Witnessing the boy's ridiculous movements, Qing Fan questions if this is even a fourth-tier refinement process anymore, deeming it to be more impressive than fifth-tier pill refining. Meanwhile, the second-tier refiner, Li Yun Xiao, feels something at the brink of his mind, unable to fully grasp it. Moments later, though, his brain understands the information flowing into it. One who sits down, getting enveloped in spirit power fluctuations. Just like that, he breaks through to the third-tier realm. The other refiners follow suit, breaking through as well. It's like a breakthrough bargain sale around here. Back over with Yun Xiao, he prepares to use the divine flames to condense the pill and asks his helpers to step away for their safety. After they leave, the reincarnated soul brings forth the true fire of life. The true soul phoenix's projection roars out, entering the 5-line tripod. However, maybe because they are in the monument of the world god, no thunderbolt strikes the pills, even when it's time to condense them. Regardless, Yun Xiao proceeds, bringing the refinement process to a rousing finale. The fourth-tier pill's fragrance spreads out for thousands of miles, leaving every refiner there in a daze. At the same time, Yun Xiao somehow breaks through to the level of a 6-star martial master after refining. As Qing Fan wonders how it is possible, the reincarnated soul simply remarks that if other people can break through, then so can he. The fourth-tier refiners then question why the fluctuations emanating from the refined pill were so strong, getting told to see for themselves. Much to their shock, Yun Xiao managed to refine 16 ultimate fourth-tier pills at once. As this is an impossible feat, even for a fifth-tier refiner, the duo declares him a god. Professional glazers, thanking Qing Fan and Shu Han for their help, Yun Xiao remarks that the Heavenly Phantom Scripture Technique might be a little too difficult for them to understand. Nonetheless, as they will still be able to learn something from it, Yun Xiao decides to demonstrate once more. Unleashing the technique, he summons a Buddha-like projection of himself, one that towers over the refinement ground. 1 hour later, the Heavenly Phantom Scripture Technique vanishes. Tian Shuoi's refiners start crying, lamenting that they were too captivated to remember it fully. Since the technique contains thousands of variations, even Shu Han and Qing Fan aren't able to grasp either. Of course, just as Yun Xiao said, they benefit from the demonstration greatly anyway, gaining a lot of insight. Having witnessed firsthand what the reincarnated soul is truly capable of, the two fourth-tier refiners get more motivated than ever to serve him to the best of their abilities. Shu Han turns over to the association's refiners, instructing them to perform their tasks with all their might. After all, if they do so, Yun Xiao is bound to treat them well. Anyone who doesn't want to try their hardest, though, can get lost and head back to the Alchemist Association. Yun Xiao's premonition comes true, as Shu Han and Qing Fan deem going back to be punished now. Meanwhile, burning with the fire of alchemy, all the refiners start running off to refine pills. At the center of Square Inch Mountain, Yan meditates in a cave, rich with Yuan Qi, trying to break his plateau at the Great Martial Master level. However, the Unit 1 commander fails yet again, making him wonder if he will ever get a chance to do so again. Suddenly, a voice tells him to keep trying until he succeeds. Appearing before his ally, in this crucial moment, Yun Xiao helps him calm down. The reincarnated soul's words echo in his mind, and Yan finally breaks through to become a martial lord. With another martial lord in his forces, Yun Xiao sends out a mental transmission to all of his core members. Being that the most important part of breaking through, Chunyan warns his grandson that he better have something worthwhile to make of. For this interruption, getting pestered by his grandfather, Yun Xiao gets annoyed. Regardless, the boy reveals that he has finished refining the adversity-destroying pills, informing them of their effects. Because of Chunyan's earlier stunt, though, Yun Xiao teases not giving out the pills just yet, getting deathly glares from everyone. The martial king rushes over to his grandson and sweet-talks him, insisting that he was only joking around earlier. Yun Xiao sighs out and hands over the adversity-destroying pill, instructing everyone, except Qingwan, to take one. The 8-star martial king, on the other hand, can try too, albeit with diminishing returns. Moreover, since Yan has just broken through, he must wait till his realm stabilizes before consuming it. As the mythic cloud-shaking thunder beast can also take 2 pills, Yun Xiao hurls one of them inside its mouth. Swallowing it ignorantly, the creature starts rolling around on the ground in immense agony. Everyone looks to Yun Xiao in disbelief, who assures them that the little bit of pain is well worth the benefits they will receive. Is bro capping or not? Find out in the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. Psych, we doing it now. One by one, everyone except Yan consumes the adversity-destroying pill, including the reincarnated soul. Moments later, his entire body gets covered with blood and wounds. Yan looks around in a panic as the entire cave echoes with the painful cries of martial artists. Right then, Yun Xiao breaks through to 7-star martial master. Despite this, his energy continues to rise. After a momentary pause, he breaks through once more, reaching the 8-star martial master level. Having taken a short time of just over a year to go from a 6-star to an 8-star martial master, Yan loses all pride in the feat that he thought to be impressive back then. Suddenly, Yun Xiao takes another adversity-destroying pill, making the Unit 1 commander think that he's suicidal. Having broken through in record time as well, Changfeng and Yun Shan appear before Yun Xiao. Yan looks around, understanding from the mythic cloud-shaking thunder beast's aura that has gotten stronger too. His train of thought instantly gets interrupted though, as Yun Xiao breaks through to become a 9-star martial master. Seeing Yun Xiao's power still rising, despite breaking through 3 whole stars in one sitting, Yan's eyes pop out of his skull in awe. Even Changfeng is surprised, as despite being powerful, the pills still have limited effects, making it impossible for anyone to keep breaking through so easily. Watching his son, he feels sorry for the talented geniuses who train relentlessly in seclusion only to break through a couple of stars at max. Right then, Yun Xiao coughs out blood and reaches his limit. Understanding that pushing anymore might make him explode, he decides to call it a day. As the boy comes to, he sees everyone glaring at him menacingly and wonders what's going on. Moments later, Yun Xiao's father and grandfather jump him for hiding stuff from them even up till this point and demand more pills. All the while, the others cheer on their violence. These greedy pigs. The reincarnated soul tries to remind them of the adversity-destroying pills' diminishing returns, insisting that increasing one's understanding of martial arts is more important than just mindless cultivation. Agreeing with the sentiment, Chunyang lets him off the hook, not before asking for a second pill. As a martial king, though, Yun Xiao rages at his grandfather and tells him to go back to stabilize his cultivation, albeit losing a pill in the process. Succeeding in extorting his grandson, Chunyang heads back, getting his drip back together by wearing one of the identical shirts in his storage ring. Yun Xiao starts moving out too. Yan questions if he isn't going to stabilize his cultivation, getting told that there's no need. After all, Yun Xiao was a peak 9-star martial sovereign in his past life, so his understanding of martial arts is already at that level. Reminding Yan to stabilize his cultivation before consuming the pill, Yun Xiao throws one in the mythic cloud-shaking thunder beast's mouth and vanishes. Left speechless, the Unit 1 commander looks on, all the while the creature beside him rolls around in pain. Elsewhere, Yun Xiao appears before Jia Rong. Weeping beautifully at the sight of his young master Yun, the slave tries to cling to him, but gets sternly rejected. Rolling around on the ground, Jia Rong whines like a baby and complains. While he was working hard for his young master Yun outside, the others who were just refining Shuan weapons inside ended up breaking through, leaving him in the dust. The poor slave begs his master to be fair, getting pushed away for being too pitiful. Pulling Jia Rong by his hair, Yun Xiao inquires about the setup of the 3 great formations and finds out that they have all been completed, albeit a bit more expensive than initially estimated. Before Jia Rong can pester him any further, Yun Xiao disappears into the wind, leaving behind a very sad and disappointed man. What a big meanie. Moments later, the reincarnated soul arrives outside the city lord's residence and confirms Jia Rong's claims. He then heads over to Mengwu, asking about the quantity and quality of people who have registered. Glad to see him, the girl reveals that they have recruited 1 martial king, 4 martial lords, 120 great martial masters, and 1722 martial masters. However, they are almost out of low-tier items in the process. Ding Linger did send a pouch for them, but Meng Wu is unable to open it. Understanding that there's a layer of encryption on the pouch, To prevent anyone from stealing it, Yun Xiao asks the girl to hold it still and decrypts the seal. Lo and behold, the pouch contains many battleships and fourth-tier items inside, being of immense value. Yun Xiao instructs Meng Wu to stop the recruitment once she runs out of the remaining materials. Moreover, she is to arrange an assembly of the recruits at Martial Flame City's courtyard at noon of the next day, treating anyone who doesn't show up as deserters. As Yun Xiao heads off, the candidates realize that this is their last charge to register and swarm Meng Wu. Elsewhere, Jia Rong draws a circle in the ground to curse his young master Yun, still moping about being left behind. Having made his appearance early on in Chapter 2, and being one of the first characters to be introduced, Jia Rong wonders why every random that shows up keeps overtaking him in importance. Oh hello, fourth wall. Suddenly, Yun Xiao appears before him once again. Complimenting Jia Rong for his good work, he announces another task for him. Caught by surprise, the former starts mumbling like an idiot and discreetly eradicates the circle he drew to curse the latter. Scolding Jia Rong for acting out of place as his slave, Yun Xiao promises to reward him well if he exceeds in the next task. Motivated by greed, the refiner inquires about what he has to do. Handing him 2 letters, Yun Xiao instructs Jia Rong to personally deliver them to Dingling and Yin Chaoyang, borrowing 200,000 high-tier primordial stones for the Martial Flame City's cause. Of course, the absurd number is too high to ask from either of them, so Jia Rong should just try to make them fork out as much as possible. As Yun Xiao starts moving out, his otherwise goofy slave turns all serious and questions if he can say something. Getting the go-ahead, Jia Rong expresses concern about the 2,000 or so members of Heaven's Core who have followed Yun Xiao all the way from Tianshui. Despite their loyalty being far superior to the recent recruits, they fall short when it comes to equipment and cultivation. Understanding Jia Rong's worry, Yun Xiao explains his current limitations to him, but vows to find a way to solve this situation. As Heaven's Core is his very first team and is made up of youths brimming with potential, the reincarnated soul promises to treat them well, relieving Jia Rong. Sometime later, Yun Xiao sits within the monument of the world god. Since his cultivation is only at the martial master level, even the diminishing returns of a third adversity-destroying pill is bound to raise his strength greatly, albeit causing him great anguish in the process. Of course, if it's just pain, Li Yun Xiao won't ever stop. Consuming the pill, he screams out. Many hours later, Yun Xiao's bloody body lies on the ground, having broken through to the peak 9-star martial master level. The next day at noon, the new recruits and the Heaven's Core members gather outside the Martial Flame City Lord's residence. Acting condescending toward the student army, the recruits deem them to be mere pretenders. Right then, Yun Xiao arrives at the podium, telling everyone to quiet down. He declares that they are his people from now on and must carry out his orders. Anyone who dares to slack off and deceive him will not only have their money retrieved, but their life will be taken as well. Looking on, Qian Duo concludes that there's more to the 15-year-old city lord than what his peak 9-star martial master strength lets on. Suddenly, the 9-star martial king's own train of thought catches him off guard. After all, Yun Xiao was just a 5-star martial master only a few days ago, making it impossible for him to be at his current level. This is the type of faces Oda draws for Gear 5 Luffy. Deeming the 4-star jump in Li Yun Xiao's strength in only a few days to be impossible, Qian Duo tries to convince himself that he was just wrong earlier. Right then, the city lord orders him to come up on the stage, shocking the new recruits with his tone. Although Qian Duo is greatly annoyed, he has no choice but to obey Yun Xiao in order to obtain the Moonbreak Scroll. The reincarnated soul hands him a jade letter containing the promised item, along with a pill and a good area to train in seclusion. As Yun Xiao expresses hope that Qian Duo will become a martial grandmaster. By the time they meet again, the other recruits think that he has gone crazy, since such a feat requires decades of experience. Meanwhile, the 9-star martial king puts the jade letter up against his forehead and realizes that it's actually the Moonbreak Scroll. With this in his hands, he feels confident in becoming not just a martial grandmaster, but a martial emperor too, or even a martial supreme. Yun Xiao remarks that the effects of the Moonbreak Scroll, along with the adversity-destroying pill, should completely fix up Qian Duo's body, making breaking through in a short time quite an achievable task. So the devs just don't care about game balance. Huh. Understanding that Yun Xiao figured out his condition instantly, the 9-star martial king wonders who he is. After all, seeing a 15-year-old possessing mysterious abilities and having as much knowledge about martial arts isn't an everyday occurrence. Promising to do his best, Qian Duo starts heading off. While the recruits try to process what just happened, a powerful wind blows through the entire area. A green wolf battleship appears in the sky, boarded by a member of the Sky Locust sect, who had used the soul power in Qiyun Peak for over 1,000 years. He starts shouting at Yun Xiao for stealing it from them, declaring that he deserves to die for his crimes. Being the benevolent city lord that he is, the reincarnated soul offers the man to bring everyone over from his sect to join Martial Flame City for cultivation instead, promising to provide resources that are 10 times better. Enraged, the intruder vows to destroy the city if Yun Xiao doesn't return their soul power. Answering back, the boy gives him a count of 3 to get lost. Not feeling threatened by a 9-star martial master, the man attacks with a chi-made green wolf to kill him. Da Shun and Yi An try to jump in, but are told by Yun Xiao not to interrupt him. Bringing out his Tiger Fang sword, the boy unleashes Roaring Tiger Terraquake, absolutely crushing the enemy's attack. Laughing at the audacity of a measly 1-star martial lord daring to threaten his city, Yun Xiao summons the Great Sun Golden Light Array and commands it to destroy. A giant blade erupts from the heavens and comes straight down to the ground, eradicating anything and everything that stands in its way. While the Sky Locust sex member barely hangs on, Yun Xiao doesn't give him a chance to recover. Ruthless aggression like he had WWE era. Bringing forth the 5-line tripod, Yun Xiao attacks with its eastbound purple mists, universe guarding, release, shouts out the reincarnated soul, unleashing the power of the 5 elements realm on the unsuspecting foe. Looking on, Qian Duo feels uneasy. He has several questions in his mind, like how a martial master is handing a 5th-tier Shuan weapon so easily, and how he just beat a 1-star martial lord atop a floating green wolf battleship so easily. Bai Chun Feng and Lin Yu are left in disbelief too, wondering if this is really the trash of the Jia Lan Academy, who studied with them just a few months ago. Right then, Yun Xiao orders that the injured man be dragged to him. As the latter plays dead, the former vows to turn it into reality if he doesn't stop. Without hesitation, the man gets up. Using his masterful interrogation tactics, Yun Xiao gets him to start spilling the beans. Introducing himself as a high-ranked disciple of the Sky Locust sect named Bu Tiandang, the man reveals that they have resided in the Qiyun mountain range for over 1,000 years. As such, the sect master, Nun Fei Chun, is a 9-star martial king. They also have 2 vice masters, one being a 7-star martial king, and the other being a 5-star one. Moreover, the Sky Locust sect has a dozen or so martial lords and thousands of martial artists lower than that level. Never caring about worldly matters, Tiandang's sect had to send out investigators upon getting their supply of soul power cut off due to some unknown reason. It just so happens that he is the investigator who ended up in Martial Flame City. Satisfied with this explanation, Yun Xiao announces that he will go back with Bu Tiandang to persuade the sect master to join him. Everyone thinks that the boy has gone insane out of greed, but no one dares to say a word. Doubting his ears, Tiandang questions if Yun Xiao really intends to go there. Without hesitation, the reincarnated soul tells him to stop messing around and lead the way. He then snaps his fingers, causing countless floating battleships to appear in the sky. Steam 3 5th-tier Tiger King battleships and over 30 green wolf ones appear in the sky. Tiandang and the new recruits lose their minds, since these battleships should be worth at least a few million high-tier primordial stones. The recruits get convinced that Yun Xiao holds a high position with 1,000 treasures tower and feel glad that they decided to follow him. Having been surprised by Yun Xiao for the entire last chapter, Qian Duo somehow still keeps getting surprised and wonders if the story will let him have any dignity as a 9-star martial king. At the same time, the sled boy grins, having made sure that the 1,000 treasures tower will never be able to separate their name from him. Declaring that the first mission is to subdue the Sky Locust sect, Yun Xiao orders everyone of the 5-star martial master level to come with him. Excited to board a floating battleship, the new recruits follow him hastily, leaving the Heaven's core members more motivated than ever to catch up to their young master Yun. Approaching their destination, Qian Duo doubts that Martial Flame City's manpower is sufficient to take down the Sky Locust sect. However, Yun Xiao tells him to be at ease. Since Tiandang has been sent out, the other martial lords won't be in the sect either. Even if they were there, Yun Xiao could simply blast them with the floating battleships. Poor Tiandang reacts to the threat like any normal human would, getting teased for it. Rookie mistake, lil bro. Arriving at the Sky Locust sect, Da Sheng and Hongbing look around, spotting nothing but mountains and lakes there. With a sinister grin, Yun Xiao reveals that they have a Grand Mountain Guardian formation with illusion techniques concealing them. Realizing that he can't hide anything from the boy, Tiandang questions just who the hell he is. To add to his fear, Yun Xiao presents some immaculate logic. As they have to fight sooner or later anyway, it's better to just do it now. W mental gymnastics for real. Sending out a mental transmission, the reincarnated soul instructs his forces to blast the Grand Mountain Guardian formation to pieces, not stopping even if someone tells them to. Heeding his command, the 30-plus floating battleships open fire. Countless chi cannons rain down on the Grand Mountain Guardian formation, forcing the sect master to come out and order them to stop. Of course, Yun Xiao's word takes precedence over Nung Fei Chun, and the floating battleships continue blasting away. Seeing Bu Tiangong getting manhandled, the sect master inquires about the intruder's identity. The reincarnated soul announces that who they are isn't important, but what is the opportunity they are there to give him. Right then, the Grand Mountain Guardian formation shatters, making Nung Fei Chun question what kind of opportunity he is talking about. If Yun Xiao can't give him a good explanation for his actions, the sect master vows to kill him, even if he has to die to do it. Aware that Nung Fei Chun is trying to buy time for the martial lords to return before fighting them, Yun Xiao tells him that bringing more people will only result in more casualties. The boy then lays it out as bluntly as possible, announcing that he is there to make the Sky Locust sect submit to Martial Flame City. Yun Xiao insists that Nung Fei Chun accepts his offer, to talk things out as not doing so will cause needless sacrifices on both sides. The former also thinks that the latter will care about the Grand Mountain Guardian formation after hearing his terms and raging him. Yun Xiao continues, remarking that it is nothing compared to the soul absorption array he set up, nonchalantly exposing himself as the person who took away the soul chi in the Qiyun mountain range. The boy infuriates the entire sect. Ignoring their reactions, Yun Xiao lets them know the reality of their helpless situation and presents a set of conditions, promising to fulfill them at all costs. On today's episode of Deal or No Deal. Firstly, the reincarnated soul will provide the Sky Locust sect with cultivation grounds, containing soul chi 10 times denser than what they are used to. Secondly, they will remain independent and just have to listen to Yun Xiao's orders. Lastly, as long as the Sky Locust sect doesn't break Martial Flame City's rules, all their disciples will be able to access as many cultivation resources as they need. To top things off, they can leave whenever they want if Yun Xiao isn't able to fulfill these conditions. Hearing Yun Xiao's terms, Nung Fei Chun ponders over his situation and realizes that the best course of action is to accept them. So he does, getting granted the name of Heaven's Resolve. After getting the official matters over with, Yun Xiao activates private sound transmission to Nung Fei Chun. Knowing that the sect master has been stuck as a martial king for over 50 years and doesn't have much life left, the reincarnated soul vows to grant him a new life by helping him ascend to the martial grandmaster level. This is the nail in the coffin for Nung Fei Chun, making him realize that he made the right decision by accepting Yun Xiao's proposal. The boy then turns over to the new recruits, granting them the title of Heaven's Judgment and putting everyone except Qian Duo under Hongbing's command. Finally, Yun Xiao places Heaven's core under Chun Da Sheng, impressing him greatly with his actions as a city lord. Having set the foundation for Martial Flame City with Heaven's core, Heaven's Resolve, and Heaven's Judgment, Yun Xiao decides the next course of action is to improve their combat capabilities, naming scheme harder than making my parents proud. After instructing Nung Fei Chun, To bring the Sky Locust sect to Martial Flame City, the boy once again telepathically tells him something. The sect master takes Yun Xiao to their storage, which contains countless low-tier pills and Shuan weapons, perfect to strengthen Heaven's core, taking around 2,000 of those items. Yun Xiao reiterates his promise to help Nung Fei Chun become a martial grandmaster and moves out. On the way back to Martial Flame City, the boy comes across a 3-star great martial master named Fu Jun Kai, a representative of the Supreme High Palace looking to deliver an invitation to Nung Fei Chun. His aura is similar to the extreme Yin Frost Qi, possessed by Qi's Dun Zi, Yi Xiao Shan, and Li Yi. Passed through inheritance, this generational technique was unique to the Beiming family in his past life. However, since they were Gu Feiyang's adversaries in the north and east, the reincarnated soul wonders how such small groups in the southern region possess it. Now, Yun Xiao completely disrespects Fu Jun Kai, was just trying to invite people to celebrate their vice palace master becoming a martial grandmaster. Not only does Yun Xiao completely humiliate the 3-star great martial master, but he also kidnaps him and steals his green wolf battleship, getting held down by Hong Bing. Fu Jun Kai wonders how a small sect like the Sky Locust sect deserves to treat Supreme High Palace's representative this way. Right then, Yun Xiao announces that it's time to go back to Martial Flame City, making the 3-star great martial master question who they really are. With a sinister look, the reincarnated soul reveals that the Sky Locust sect is under him. Finding himself at odds with the Supreme High Palace yet again, Yun Xiao smugly invites Fu Jun Kai to have a talk with him. My goat wants all the smoke in the world,